Breaking tonight, a stunning revelation from the latest WikiLeaks document dump that has key Hillary Clinton staffers now taking heat over an email exchange that lashes out at two major faith groups. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. We are seeing a growing amount of angry reaction in the last few hours as folks become aware of a leaked 2011 email chain between a trio of Hillary Clinton acolytes. Jennifer Palmieri, Clinton's current communications director, John Podesta, Clinton's current campaign chair, and John Halpin, a senior fellow at the left-leaning Center for American Progress think tank. First, Catholicism is slammed, and then all of evangelical Christianity. At one point, John Halpin writes his colleagues about conservatives and the church, writing, quote, "It's an amazing bastardization of the faith. They must be attracted to the systemic thought and severely backwards gender relations." Clinton campaign manager John Podesta describes himself as a practicing Catholic. He does not respond directly to the conversation in the documents we have, but we're still waiting to hear the campaign's explanation for all of this. In moments, we'll be joined by noted evangelical leader Tony Perkins from the Family Research Council and then Karl Rove on the possible fallout politically. But we begin tonight with Trace Gallagher for the very latest on this breaking news, live from our West Coast newsroom. Trace?
Megyn, the indication from these Catholic-bashing emails is that both Rupert Murdoch and the managing editor of the Wall Street Journal, Robert Thompson, decided to raise their children Catholic, not because of their religious beliefs, but rather for social and political benefits. Robert Halpin writes, quote, "It's an amazing bastardization of the faith. They must be attracted to the systemic thought and severely backwards gender relations and must be totally unaware of Christian democracy." Top Clinton aide John Podesta, who again is Catholic, did not respond. Jen Palmieri did, writing, quote, "I imagine they think it is the most socially acceptable, politically conservative religion. Their rich friends wouldn't understand if they became evangelicals." Halpin writes back, quoting, "Excellent point. They can throw around Thomistic thought and subsidiarity and sound sophisticated because no one knows what the hell they're talking about. Thomistic thought is the philosophy of St. Thomas Aquinas. Subsidiarity, the belief that things are better handled at a local level instead of a central government." The Catholic League responded to the email saying, quote, "These anti-Catholic remarks are bad enough, but it makes one wonder what else Clinton's chiefs and others associated with the campaign are saying about Catholics and Catholicism." We should point out this is a religious group the Clinton campaign should covet. A poll from the Public Religion Research Institute showed that likely Catholic voters favored Hillary Clinton over Trump 55% to 34%. And a Georgetown study shows that in the past 16 presidential elections, Catholics have voted Republican only 3 times, once for Nixon, twice for Reagan. Again, we emailed the Clinton campaign for a response. So far, nothing.
Trace, thank you. Joining me now with more, President of the Family Research Council, Tony Perkins. Tony, good to see you again. And so the hostility toward Christians in this, and in the one paragraph, in particular Catholics, as this man describes as bastardizing the faith and dismissing the entire Catholic belief system as severely backwards when it comes to gender relations, and on he goes. And Clinton's campaign communications director seems to agree wholeheartedly.
Megyn, this should be no surprise to those who listen to what Hillary Clinton says. Remember, this is the same elitist vineyard that gave us the term basket of deplorables, used going further even to say that they're irredeemable, which obviously is a concept that stands in stark contrast to what evangelicals and Catholics believe, as they believe and cling to the redemptive work of Jesus Christ. This should be troubling to people that see that they believe that people who actually want to live by their faith are somehow backwater people. Look, there's a lot of Americans who literally simply want to live their lives according to their faith, and it's clear that Hillary Clinton and her team hold them in disdain.
The thing that seems to really horrify them in this email exchange is that Rupert Murdoch, the owner of this channel, and Robert Thompson, head of News Corp, that they had the nerve to baptize their children Catholic and want to raise them Catholic, which has these officials who want the Catholic vote. The Catholic vote has actually proven very important for Democrats in past elections. Hold in disdain. They're disgusted by that. They can't believe that they would want to baptize and raise a baby Catholic.
Well, that's stuff people in the flyover states do, not people in sophisticated places do, according to them. Again, this is where Hillary Clinton talks about the freedom to worship. It's okay if you just kind of go to church and treat it as a social club, a glorified social club, but if you literally want to teach your children these principles, live your life according to that, you're going to run into trouble with Hillary Clinton. And
But it's not her. I mean, in fairness to Hillary, it's not her. It's her campaign chairman who doesn't weigh in, but it's their communications director and this other guy who's Center for American Progress.
Look, let me tell you, I'm not going to allow a communication director for me to speak about something in a way that is not consistent with what I believe. Look, this is the same campaign that gave birth, out of the mouth of Hillary Clinton, the term deplorables, irredeemable, talking about Trump supporters who are evangelicals and socially conservative Catholics. This is troubling, should be troubling politically for her, not because these evangelicals, maybe the Catholics, not the evangelicals, are going to vote for her, but it shows the hostility toward religious freedom, and that is where these evangelicals are right now, uncertain about Trump, but now they see the hostility from Hillary Clinton, that their religious freedom is at stake in this election.
She was raised Methodist, although she doesn't appear to be a practicing Methodist because she doesn't go to church and so on, but you can see certainly how those around her feel about practicing Catholics or those who have the nerve to actually baptize their children. Tony, good to see you.
Thanks, Megan.
Also here on this breaking story, Fox News contributor and former Deputy Chief of Staff to President George W. Bush, Karl Rove. Karl, good to see you. You tell me whether Jen Palmieri and this other guy is not with the Clinton campaign, but Jen Palmieri weighs in and adds her own 2 cents, ridiculing Catholics, ought to come out with an apology to this voting bloc, which is almost as powerful as the African American vote and many others.
Well, look, roughly a quarter of the electorate are Catholics. It's the largest swing group. Contrary to, just slightly to what Trey said earlier, if you look at the exit polls, since 1972, Catholics, with one exception, have voted in each and every presidential election for the ultimate winner. The one exception was 2000, when they voted for Al Gore in the exit polls by 50 to 47. But even that was an extraordinary gain for Bush, who got 10 points more among Catholics than Bob Dole's 37%. So they play a critical role in the election. Now, will this become a political issue? I think it all depends upon whether or not both politically interested Catholics and, more importantly, the Trump campaign make it an issue. This was thinly veiled religious bigotry, not only against conservative Catholics, but also against evangelicals. Sort of the back and forth is they're conservative Catholics because they couldn't take the social pressure of being evangelicals, because that is even more out of the mainstream.
Right, because that's even more disgusting.
Yeah, so the question is rather than talking about Paul Ryan tomorrow, who is incidentally a Catholic, what about tomorrow if Donald Trump stands up and takes a whack at these comments and calls upon the campaign and the campaign officials in question to both repudiate them and apologize? I mean, this is the only way it's going to become an issue. In 2000, we had a very active Catholic organization that could have spread this word and made it an issue in every critical battleground state. I don't sense that that's the case in the Trump campaign this year around. It'll take him to make it an issue.
This woman, Jen Palmieri, she's high up in the Clinton campaign. This is not some minion.
One of her key lieutenants.
And you tell me what the Clinton team would be doing to the Trump team if Kellyanne Conway or any of the inner circle came out and said something this disdainful of an entire voting bloc, whether it was, put the shoe on the other foot, right? If they said something about gays, or if they put something that a voting bloc that they consider in their column, they'd be going nuts on it, and they'd be demanding an apology.
Exactly. Well, look, and they mock the deep-held beliefs. They mock the idea that two conservative Catholics would have their children baptized in the same river where John the Baptist baptized Jesus. I mean, this is really amazing that they would mock them for, what Christians would consider it wouldn't consider it a blessing to be able to afford to baptize their children in the Jordan River. I mean, this is so insensitive. I'm going to say that it's insensitive, but it really strikes me that it borders on bigotry, religious bigotry. But the question you started with is it going to be a political issue? It depends upon whether or not Donald Trump intends to make it a political issue.
Well, remember this, Karl.
That means that he
Remember
has to talk about it.
in the 2008 election when Barack Obama was running, this became an issue for the Democrats then because he was caught on tape referring to those who are religious as bitter clingers. It's the bitter clingers side that became so infamous. I think we have it. Listen.
And they feel so betrayed by government.
So it's not surprising then that they get bitter and they cling to guns or religion or antipathy towards people who aren't like them.
So, and that was not helpful. That was not particularly helpful to Barack Obama's campaign.
Right. Not at all. Not at all. But look, do you think the media, without some prodding, without somebody making it an issue, that most of the media is going to pay attention to this? Most of the media is secular. Most of the media doesn't claim to understand or care to understand the deeply held beliefs of people of faith. And so we can't count on NBC and ABC and CBS, the producers and the news directors saying, oh, this is a story worth covering. No. It's going to have to be made an issue by Donald Trump and his allies stepping forward and saying this is unacceptable, and Hillary Clinton ought to repudiate it.
She's
and
been
Jen
out
Palmieri
there.
ought to.
Hillary has been out there condemning Donald Trump's comments about Muslims, calling for religious tolerance, saying that she's been an advocate her whole life for religious freedom. And now the question is, what is she going to do? And what is her communications director going to do when she is caught having this kind of an exchange about this many millions of Americans who have deeply held, honest, sincere beliefs that she's in no position to judge? Karl, we'll wait to see.
What about some religious respect in addition to tolerance? So what about some respect for the beliefs of people?
Great to see you. Well, we're waiting for comments. We're waiting for some sort of remark back from them. Look, these are hacked documents, right? This comes from the WikiLeaks dump, so it's controversial. But so is the content. And you ask yourself what the Clinton team would be doing right now if this kind of thing came out from Team Trump.